The views and opinions expressed in the following program are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect those of KSMQ Public Service Media Incorporated or its assigns.
Welcome to On Cue. I'm Eric Olson. On today's program, we take a look at the exciting new plans for Austin Utilities with Mark Nibaur. They've got a new building on the way, and we're also going to explore how they benchmark the success in their organization. Besse is here to introduce a new musical organization in Rochester, the Rochester Pops Orchestra. And Jennifer Lawhead from Austin Aspires brings us our Vision 2020 update. Stay with us. On Cue is next.
From KSMQ Television in Austin, this is On Cue, connecting interesting issues and interesting people. On Cue.
Rochester has no shortage of musical talent, and Besse, director for the Rochester Pops Orchestra, is here today to talk about one of the newest entities, the Pops Orchestra.
Yes.
Welcome.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
And congratulations. Is it exciting or terrifying to start a new ensemble?
It was very exciting. Within the first couple of days after sending out an email inviting musicians to participate, we had over 55 responses, so it's exciting.
What does it mean to be pops? Is there a certain genre? I mean, I know like the Boston Pops Orchestra, but what does it mean to the lay person, the fan?
Basically anything that really isn't classical. We'll hit things like Cole Porter and Gershwin, but we try to stick to Broadway musicals. We try to stick to curtain pop hits that are out, film scores, John Williams and Ennio Morricone. We do some jazz standards, some big band things. Basically any genre that isn't classical.
Okay.
We're very blessed with two wonderful groups between the Rochester Symphony and Chorale and the Mayo Civic Orchestra. So we try not to step on feet. We want to do something that they are not doing. So.
Is there cross-pollination between these organizations and yours as far as the musicians go?
Definitely. There's quite a few that play in the Mayo Civic Orchestra, and I think we have 5 or 6 that play in the big Rochester Symphony and Chorale. So.
A Pops Orchestra, is it at the size you'd like now? I have no clue how many instruments you would prefer.
It's the size of a full symphony orchestra. We are short a couple. We can always use more first violins, violas, cellos, basses, and we're looking for trombones at the current time.
Wow. So there you go. If you don't have, what are they, weekly rehearsals?
Weekly rehearsals on Sunday.
On Sundays. So you can cruise over there because there's a lot of talent around here. As I said, Albert Lee, Austin have symphonies. You run that one in Albert Lee, right?
Yep. We have the Southeastern Minnesota Chamber Orchestra, our very own orchestra in Albert Lee, Minnesota.
And this has been fun because it's more fun music. Get up and enjoy the modern day. There's even a symphony. Well, I shouldn't say symphony, but isn't there a score for video games?
Yes, and we'll be doing some of those at our April concert, April 26th. So.
Do you
something
say,
for everybody.
Do you say, we have to do it, or do you really like the music?
Actually, I really like it. I want to make sure that we're covering all genres so that everybody has something to listen to. If children come, we really want to encourage youth, 12th grade and under, get in for free. So we want to encourage them to participate and to be a part of the orchestra. But the more current film scores and things that they're going to, they'll hear music from Frozen. They'll hear music from the latest John Williams piece, the Hobbit and the Howard Shore pieces from all different parts of movies, I guess.
Things they might recognize.
Yes, exactly.
In other words,
exactly.
Which is, I guess, I'm gathering, is that important for young people especially to light the fire, to have them be interested in orchestral music?
I believe so. I think that for the most part, classical music is where everything basically originated from. That's where music came from. But at the same time, if they can hear an orchestra come to life with music that they're familiar with, that's going to talk to them and speak to them a lot more than hearing something that they're not quite familiar with. But we try to keep a little of both in there so that they get introduced to new things they never heard and thought, oh, that's really nice. Okay. We also want to encourage them to play instruments. It's amazing how many people can take music past college. And that's what we're dealing with. We have all these volunteers. We have doctors, and we have nurses, and we have law enforcement, all walks of life.
That's the important key when they go off after high school.
Exactly.
I think that's when the drop-off happens, and that's where the opportunities lie too. Even if you can't be in the top symphony, there's always places to play.
Exactly. It's a great outlet, and it doesn't feel like it's work. It's at the end of the day, say you go to church in the morning on Sunday, and then you decide to come to the rehearsal. It doesn't feel like you're working. It feels like you're having fun. You're fraternizing with other people who love music just as much as you do, and you're coming together to make this gorgeous sound. So.
Speaking of gorgeous sounds, we have a little excerpt. What are we hearing? I think
Yes.
it's your ensemble, right?
It is, it is. Our very first concert we gave in October was our Pops concert, and we had music from E.T., a piece by John Williams, and that's what you'll hear in the next clip.
Okay, this is a little segment of the Rochester Pops Orchestra under the direction of Besse. Well, that was fun. A little clip from Rochester Pops Orchestra, Besse, director. Nice.
Thank you.
That's
Thank you.
fun. How difficult is it to keep, when you have volunteers playing, to keep them coming to rehearsals? I sang in groups in different cities, and my work, sometimes I couldn't make rehearsals, and it was a real strain on the director. Not that I was that important, but just anybody missing. I would assume that's the same in your ensemble.
Yeah, each rehearsal we try to delve into the music enough that we're getting all the nuances that the original writer of the music wants. So if somebody were to miss a rehearsal or something, they are missing out on certain things that I'm telling the certain group that's there at that time. But I ask the musicians to miss at the most 2 rehearsals per concert. So if we, like for the February concert, we have 5 rehearsals. Well, that's only 3 rehearsals that they're required to make. At the same time, I think that the music is fun and challenging enough that people want to be there, that it's become a part of their life now. And that it just makes me smile to know that these people enjoy the music so much.
In just a short period of time. What is this? How long has this been?
It started in August, yep.
Just
and this
now.
is our 3rd concert we're working on.
So you must have to coordinate with the other ensembles, do you, to make sure you're not overlapping performances?
Exactly. That was my first goal, is to make sure all the ensembles that have been ingratiated into Rochester for so long, that are so respected, that I wasn't stepping on any feet by either playing their kind of music or by scheduling something the same weekend. So back in the summer, I had a huge desk full of all the calendars of all the different groups that were in town, and I tried to schedule all of my things around theirs to make sure I wasn't infringing on any rehearsals or any of their concerts.
Right, because you don't, then you lose musicians maybe too if you're, that's another part.
Creates bad blood, so you want to make sure that you're accommodating everybody.
Before we went on here, we were talking, and you were doing graduate work at the University of Minnesota in orchestral.
Yes, orchestration and composition.
So here's a question for you. We talked a little bit about kids and getting young people involved in orchestra work. I was out, that must be a big concern in the whole industry of music and orchestral music. I was out in Washington and watched an orchestra for young people, and it featured multimedia displays of pictures and actors portraying the composer's young life, and then they play the piece because they're concerned if they were just playing the music, it wouldn't speak to them.
Right, right. There's a great deal of history behind all the songs, and the first concert, we packed so much music into it, we really didn't get in depth with the stuff. But our Christmas concert, I had one of my good friends, Lila Oz, came in and was our MC for us, and announced each of the songs and a little bit of the history there. And I think it means more to people to hear music when they know where it comes from.
February, which next month, right after Valentine's Day.
Yep, Valentine's weekend.
So is it going to be for the brokenhearted? Is that what your theme's going to be?
No, it's called our Love Concert. So we're focusing on love, all aspects of love.
All right. And let me give the website address for tickets, either the website or how else?
They just contact one of our musicians, and then on our posters it will list the 4 places. We're going to try to cover all 4 corners of Rochester. They can go pick up tickets there, purchase them there.
And that'll be listed, I'm sure, on the website.
Yes.
Rochester Pops with an S at the end there, .com. That'll have all the details, the time and so on.
Exactly.
And well, this is really exciting. Any work with vocalists? You mentioned Broadway shows. Is there a vocal component?
Every single show that we've done thus far has had a vocalist. Our first show starred Leslie Meyer and Karen Mosbrook. They both came in and sang a couple of things from Disney and a couple of things from musicals. One of them was from Frozen. Beauty and the Beast was mentioned. Our last concert, our Christmas concert, we had our trumpet player's wife, Mrs. Kowalski. She sang a couple Christmas pieces for us. And then our February concert, we'll have Leslie Meyer again and her husband. They'll be doing some love duets. And then Mrs. Kowalski will be back and joining us for a couple other pieces too.
Sure.
So,
well, that's
yeah,
fun.
we try to get vocalists in there so that we have a plethora of different things to offer the people. A couple vocal pieces, a couple instrumental.
Okay. It'll be fun. And where's it going to be held?
It's at RCTC at Hill Theater. So at Rochester Technical College at the Hill Theater there.
Okay, wonderful. Well, Brock, Besse, thank you so much.
Yes, thank you.
And thanks for your service doing all this. It's a wonderful chance for folks to get out and hear a new kind of music.
For sure.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Stay with us. Mark Nibaur from Austin Utilities is up next to share exciting plans for a new facility. That's when On Cue continues.
You can watch On Cue anytime by visiting the KSMQ TV website, ksmq.org.
And welcome back to On Cue. I'm Eric Olson. We're going to talk about electricity, gas, energy with our guest of the moment, our expert of the moment, Mark Nibaur, General Manager of Austin Utilities. Welcome, sir.
Thank you, Eric. Excited to be here.
Yeah, you have been in the news of late. You're going to be moving, hopefully, or is it going to happen, moving your facility to a larger facility. How's that process going?
Well, very well. We made some major strides, I guess, in the last couple of months, but it's a process of moving a number of our locations and operations into one central facility, we call it, out at Energy Park. And that process took some major strides the last couple of months with the board approving that decision to move forward with the construction of a new central facility for all operations.
Now, I didn't know there was an Energy Park. Shame on me.
Yeah.
Where is it? Out by the facility out of town there a little bit?
Yeah, we call it Energy Park.
Oh, okay.
But yes, it's out by Todd Park.
Right, okay.
And it's a location that they purchased back in 2009. We have about 23 acres, and we so coined it as Energy Park, and that's where the central facility will be built starting next year.
Explain a little bit about Austin Utility and your mission and the way you organize. People might think you're a government agency because when you pay your bill, you go into City Hall building. There might be some confusion that you're an agency of the county or city.
Right. Yeah, we are a charter municipal operation, so we're a charter with the city of running a gas, electric, and water utility. And with that charter, we have our own set of rules, and we have our own commission. We have a 5-member commission that operates and helps govern our utilities, and those 5 members are elected by the community. So that's pretty unique for municipal to have that kind of governance that's elected by the community. And so based off of that, we have our own budget, we have our own operations. Our business model is truly a municipal that's standalone here in Austin.
So you don't go before the city council to get approval for things?
Well, we do a couple things. If we buy and sell property, we would go in front of the city council, as well as if we need bonding and debt to make purchases, like we will for this new building. We have to go in front of the council and go through the city to issue that debt. But there are the only two reasons we would have to go in front of the council for assistance and support or approval of any actions that we might have.
Okay, and we were talking before we started recording that as far as electric service goes in our state, there are several different ways that energy can get to a customer's home, whether it be a municipal entity like yourself, or sometimes the actual big company like an Xcel Energy serves a household. Talk a little bit about those different ways and how Austin Utilities fits in.
Yeah, there's a number of municipals in the city or in the state of Minnesota, and actually many states in the Midwest. And as a municipal, it's governed, operated for the public, for the community. So the community really owns and operates the utility. They're based off of the percentage of those entities serving the communities is pretty small. The investor owns, as we call it, as you mentioned, Xcels or Minnesota Powers, they predominantly serve the major metropolitan areas. Again, they're investor-owned, the shareholders, they operate based off of recovering some kind of return, so their shareholders can get some kind of dividend returns. And then there's also another body that serves the electric world, and that's rural cooperatives that serve more of the rural areas here in Minnesota. So there's three different entities that business models that can serve electricity here in the community or in the state.
And a big history with the rural cooperatives. That's how it all got started, right? As far as getting energy out to the farms.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, very much so.
Rural electrification.
Exactly. If that bill didn't go through, I think that would have been very difficult to see electricity strung through the community, through the countryside.
And another, speaking of that, another entity, another electric utility, another city in our viewing area, Albert Lea, is going through a change of theirs. One of their companies is going away, and another one's going to get really big.
Yeah, exactly. Alliant is looking at selling some of their properties, which includes Albert Lea and lots of other communities. And the rural cooperatives in southern Iowa came together to work through that transaction, and eventually, as that is completed, those rural cooperatives will be serving some of those Alliant customers. So a change that's unusual, and we'll probably hear a lot more about that over the next few months.
So Freeborn-Mauer will get bigger.
Exactly. Exactly. That rural cooperative will get have a few more customers to serve when the transaction is completed.
When you run a company like this or a small business, you often hear about we have aggressive growth plans or anything like that. But when you have a finite group of customers, what are the benchmarks for an organization like this besides just balancing a budget? I mean, do you grow revenue? What's the mission?
Well, you know, and it's kind of interesting because with the state and the energy efficiency standards that we have, we actually try to reduce our customers' load and growth through energy efficiency, which every year we meet those standards, which is very, very speaks highly of our operations and staff that meets those needs. So it's kind of interesting. We grow by maybe more customers, but that customer's load or their electric usage, we try to reduce. So it's kind of interesting, that perspective. I think some of the benchmarks for us is reliability and service. We want to make sure the lights stay on and the water and gas continue to flow. So those are some benchmarks we look at. We look at costs and budgets, obviously, and managing those. And we do look at different ways that maybe we can have revenue streams in to our budget, per se. But some of the benchmarks really is just reliability and service to our customers.
And this new facility, you mentioned earlier that you have some workers here and there. How many folks all over, and then they'll all be in one location?
Yeah, we have roughly around 90 employees to serve all three of our utility operations. And at this point, we're probably scattered between 3 different sites within the community and probably about 6 to 7 different buildings or facilities that we have staff or equipment or material in. And so we'll bring all 3 sites, different buildings, into one building. Hopefully in another year to 2 years, we'll have that all done, and it will be a good time for us to maybe serve our customer a little differently and a little efficiently and more economically.
We're talking with Mark Nibaur of Austin Utilities. What about what you hear about smart grids, going in to your home and deciding and being able to see how much your energy costs at this particular time of day? Well, I'll wait and do the laundry later. Is that pie in the sky stuff?
You know, I think for a lot of utilities it is. It's going to be the next wave, the next technology out there. There's some companies that are using smart grid to some level. So it's not too much pie in the sky. It's there, it's available, it's very expensive, and still you're looking at the costs versus the benefits of that, and we're still working through that. Eventually will we see some kind of smart grid, as you mentioned, here in Austin or in Minnesota? Oh yeah, I think it'll get here sooner or later with the technology that's available and what the customers are asking for and demanding as time goes along. Especially the millennium level, I think that will be something that will be a very good service and something we'll have to take a look at.
Yeah, and there's a part of me that thinks, you know, some of these things, I don't want the choice. You know, there's too many decisions I make in the day as it is, but I guess a new generation wants more. They want to know where their energy is coming from, I suppose.
Yeah. Yep, and I think they want to be able to determine when they use that energy and at what cost, and that will be, I think, really defined as we move forward and what that structure looks like. So lots of things to work out, but technology is there. It's just a matter of implementing and, like you said, the customer accepting that.
Well, let's get your building built first, okay?
Yeah, first things first.
Before we talk about that. Well, Mark, thank you very much for joining us from Austin Utilities and for giving us a little insight. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
And back with a Vision 2020 update when On Cue continues.
Queue up your own comments for On Cue and send them to us at onq@ksmq.org. On Cue's Vision 2020 segment is brought to you by Hormel Foundation, Games People Play, and Turtle Creek Estates.
And welcome back to On Cue. Time now for our Vision 2020 update. Jennifer Lawhead joins us from Austin Aspires. Welcome.
Thanks for having me.
You are working on a very ambitious program in Austin to kind of blend the school's knowledge base and community involvement.
That's correct.
How's it going? It's been about a year or not quite?
6 months.
6 months.
6 months. So it's been an amazing 6 months so far. I've learned, I lived in Austin. I've lived here since 1998, and I thought I knew a lot about our community, but I've been really overwhelmed with all the supports that are in place in our community for our kids. It's a great place for children to grow up.
And part of your charge, and I know you're working with a national model to guide you, but it's to look where we have lots of parent participation, lots of groups, and maybe too much to help supplant other parts of educational process where maybe they need more input. Am I close at all or not really?
Yep, in part. We're looking at a model called collective impact, and basically with collective impact, we're combining forces with schools, community organizations, philanthropic organizations, churches. So we're combining our efforts like you were talking about. We're all working toward the same set of goals for our kids, and we might find where there are pockets of, we have 27 groups supporting one goal, but no groups supporting another, and so we can help the community to see where we have some holes and the supports we need for our kids.
I think you worked on the first project was Austin Public Schools or Austin High School and Pacelli, a kind of I guess an audit or something looking at those two facilities?
Well, I'm meeting with folks from all the schools, and I'm talking with all the staff at all of our buildings, public and private and Riverland, to talk to them about what's going well for children in our community, what are some challenges for kids in our community, and then the question that I think is most fun is if you could dream your biggest dream for kids in Austin from cradle to career, what would that dream look like? And it's been a pleasure to hear from them about what's going well for kids, and then what could we dream for our children.
And is it too soon for any findings? It's only been, as you say, 6 months.
I think some themes are starting to emerge. I think an important theme to note is that we have an incredibly supportive community. So many folks in our community, whether through big foundations or local businesses or service organizations, we have lots of folks supporting our kids in beautiful and meaningful ways. So that's been a really important finding so far. But I think there are also some themes about issues connected to challenges with transportation. We have lots of supports in place for our kids, but sometimes the kids can't get to those supports. So that's one example. I think another theme that's emerging quite a bit is the value of the success coaches in Austin Public Schools. They're very valued in our community. So I think it's yeah, we're starting to see some themes emerge.
That's interesting. Transportation. I would never put that together with education.
Right. That was a theme that surprised me as well, because it kind of goes hand in hand with another theme that's emerging, is that a lot of times kids don't have a chance to figure out what their passion is, what their spark is in life, and the way that the research shows that children do that is by experiencing a lot of different things. Austin's a great place to do that in, because we have a rich music program in our community and in our schools. We have great opportunities for athletics. So we have all those in place for kids to kind of take a sample of, I see if I like swimming, see if I like a little orchestra. But if they can't get to those opportunities out of school hours, then that's a barrier. So it's a plus for Austin, but it's also a challenge.
Yeah, very good. Well, thanks for the update. And we should point out, too, that Austin Aspires is its separate entity. You're actually executive director of this, so it's a program and organization that's going to live on and go on for a while, because we all are lifelong learners.
That's right.
It's going to go on. Thanks, Jennifer Lawhead, for joining us. And thank you for tuning in to On Cue this edition. I'm Eric Olson. See you again next time.
On Cue is a production of KSMQ Television in Austin, nonprofit public television.